Hi everyone, I'm Steve Fjerstad from the Back to Nature Wellness Center in Litchfield, Minnesota. This past summer we did a number of videos on wild superfoods, and we had some nice comments from you folks that you enjoyed them, and so hopefully when winter is over here and spring comes again, I really would like to do some of them again. But one of the other comments that we got from some people was the fact that many people didn't really know who we were, what we did, why we do it, and so I thought I'd do this short little video explaining some of those things. I used to be a high school auto shop teacher a long time ago, and one of our kids, my youngest daughter, had some very severe digestive problems, so severe in fact that it reached a point that they implanted a tube in her chest. It's actually called a Hickman catheter, and she was hooked up to infusion pumps for over a year to feed her with a food solution. And eventually it reached a point to where that wasn't working anymore, and doctors at the University of Minnesota told us there was nothing more they could do for her. So we had them remove the tubes, and we brought her home for whatever time she had left. About that time, some friends of ours told us, actually it was a chiropractor in Wilmer, and through some people that he knew, told us about a clinic in Reno, Nevada. And we took her out there, and using the technology that we use here at the Back to Nature Wellness Center, she actually got well, and she to this day eats, over 30 years later, eats anything she wants and is very, very well physically and does really well. What really fascinated me at the time was that not only did we see her get well at this clinic, we saw all of these other chronic and terminally ill people that this doctor was getting well. Now, he was a Harvard-trained medical doctor, but he did functional medicine, or back then it was called alternative or complementary medicine. And so the thing that fascinated me the most is we saw all of these other people that were getting well. And I don't mean just treating their symptoms. I mean this doctor was actually getting them healthy and well again, so they did not need a doctor. And the more fascinated I became with it, the more I was trying to read, and there wasn't as much information available back then as there is now. So I reached a point to where I knew that this was something I wanted to do, and I went back to school in the late 80s, and in 1993 received my degree as a naturopathic doctor. In 1996, I joined the American Naturopathic Medical Association, and later that year was board certified by the American Naturopathic Medical Certification and Accreditation Board in Washington, D.C. as a traditional naturopath. And I've been doing this ever since. And the fascinating thing about it is that we actually try to help people get well. And many people who aren't familiar with this technology kind of believe, like I did years ago, that the only people that could help us get well were our medical doctors. And granted, I refer people to medical doctors from time to time that I do things that we can't do here. But the reality is, for the most part, MDs nowadays are treating your symptoms, and they're not trying to actually get you well. And can you get well? In many cases, yes, you actually can. We see it all the time here. And it's one of the joys of what I do, is being able to shake somebody's hand or give them a hug and realizing they don't need us anymore because they're healthy. And so, the first 8 years I did this, I actually averaged about 1,000 miles a week covering 5 states because it was very obscure back then. And much fewer people than now didn't believe in it and had never experienced this. And so I did what I call dog and pony shows, and I averaged, like I said, about 1,000 miles a week for the first few years doing this, and finally reached a point to where there was enough people coming here to Litchfield, Minnesota, and I founded the Back to Nature Wellness Center, and we've been doing this ever since. And so if you're someone who's been struggling with something, yeah, you can use, and sometimes I do, I use the wild superfoods with people, and I teach them how to juice them. But there are some really high-tech nutraceuticals that are available out there that some are available over the counter, and we teach people about that. You have to be careful where you buy your supplements, because there's a lot of stuff that's inferior out there that doesn't work. And if you've got some healthcare issues, make sure you're getting your stuff from a qualified practitioner, or from a place that you can really trust, that has the purity and the potency to actually help you get well. So again, if you're someone who's had or had health care issues for a long time. You're very likely taking some prescription drugs. Now, as a naturopath, what you're going to find is that a qualified naturopath is not going to take you off your drugs. You have to be a licensed medical doctor to do that. So we don't do that. We don't suggest people quit their drugs. What we do is help them get well to where they can go back to their medical doctor and say, you know, doc, I think maybe I don't need this stuff anymore. Can you check this out? And it's amazing how that works and how often it works. So again, if you're someone who has some problems, you've been struggling with something sometimes for years and years, give us a call, because we're going to be able to tell you if this is something that we have worked with before. And over the last close to 30 years, we've seen, you know, pretty much everything come through the door. And we're very upfront with people. So backtonaturewellnesscenter.com is our website. Go there and check us out. And we are at 329 East Highway 12 in Litchfield. And 320-693-2541 is our phone number. So we got a saying here at Back to Nature: when you're sick and tired of being sick or tired, give us a call. Thanks.